Hello there, everybody. Today I got Brad and Dino here, and these guys are both pro traders in their own right. I also have been told that Brad has built his own bot successfully, which I take my hat off to him because it's not easy, and that's why I've never gone into bots before. So my own experience with bots, I've seen about eight, six were scams, two of them failed, I think, because single operators, and that's what I liked about this was that it's set up institutional size. So. Um, Based on that, Brad, what's your experience as a pro trader and also with the bots?
Sure. Well, I'll give you a little context here, Rick. I appreciate you having me here. So, I got into kind of the automated bot slash Forex industry, foreign exchange industry, the largest market in the world. I got into that industry about 20 years ago. And it really came about because I just got sick and tired of being ripped off and scammed and getting rug pulled by so-called passive income platforms, the daily pay platforms. Back then, we're talking like early 2000s. Most of them revolved around either auto surf programs where you watch a certain amount of websites and you get paid a daily percentage that was paid to you, pretty much on a day-to-day basis, 7 days a week. Or they were platforms that said they were trading Forex. That's what they said they were doing to generate profits, right? However, back then, there was no proof of any trading. We had no idea whether what they were saying was really true. And I would say 99% of those programs and opportunities turned out to be complete Ponzi's or scams or what have you. That there was never any kind of trading proof provided or even, offered. Okay, so I got into the automated trading space with Forex because it was transparent. I didn't get into kind of the bot development space until about 7 years ago when I got tired of buying other vendors' bots and blowing up accounts. And these are totally transparent accounts, when you're dealing with a third-party broker. I'm not talking about these passive platforms. I decided to move towards something that I could actually verify how the profits are generated, right? Because they're my own accounts in my own name. And so that kind of led me on this quest to generate passive cash flow, even though I kind of came into the online space in 1998 as an affiliate marketer slash network marketer. That's kind of where I cut my teeth. Basically, learn how to do attraction marketing and copywriting and everything else, build web pages. So I did well, and like from like 2000 on, I kind of cracked the code when it came to online marketing. But there was always this thing in the back of my mind that I wanted to be able to know that I could generate passive cash flow without having to advertise, whether or not the opportunity I was promoting did well, or what, a lot of times they change the comp plan on us. That's kind of a rug pull in itself, even though it's a legal one. And so I was just always on this quest to find legitimate ways to generate single and double digit monthly figures, okay, when it came to passive income. And so I was able to do that with Forex, and especially when it came to developing my own bots. And so Dino, who's on here right now, my brother from a Greek mother, we've known each other about 20 years. Dino's been in the industry, Forex space, for at least 2 decades as well. So we know what we're looking at. We know what, we want to see when it comes to anything that claims to be generating profits from either Forex or crypto. We've both been in the crypto space. Well, I don't know how long Dino has, but I've been in crypto since 2013. I bought my first Bitcoin at $130, and I wish I
Wow.
bought more. Let's put it that way. I ended up losing all of my Bitcoin early on because to an exchange that the owner of that
Uh,
exchange basically absconded with everybody's Bitcoin. It
uh,
was the Wild West back then. This was before Coinbase existed and some of the other regulated exchanges. But that got my feet wet as far as what crypto offered. I love the decentralized side of crypto for privacy reasons. And that's really what attracted me to Aurum when Dino introduced it to me last summer. And the first question I asked him after I found out that Brian Benson, who has a really great background as a former managing director of Binance, that kind of pedigree got my attention to at least take a look. And then my second question with him was, so how are they generating profits? Have you seen real trading profits behind the scenes? And his answer was yes. Not only that, he had actually been given private access to the actual trade records of two accounts, which I recently was able to actually view as well. So there was consistency and congruency there as far as what I saw versus what he saw last year. And so I'll just give you a quick example and then I'll let him share his story. But we got on private call and there was quite a few other experienced traders on this Zoom with Ahmad, who is the CMO of AURUM, and two of his trade tech guys that kind of oversee the accounts because they do have manual oversight over their accounts. So I saw one OKX account, which is a big exchange, and I saw another one that was a KuCoin account. And so I saw that the OKX account was funded with about $1 million from what I remember back last March. And that account that we saw was sitting at about 3.5 million at the time with no additional deposits. So the money has to come from somewhere. There's no additional deposits. How did that extra 2.5 million get there, right? Had to come from trading. And then I also saw a KuCoin account that started out with total funding of $1.5 million. And that account was sitting at about $16.8 million. And that one was started back in 2023. And so we were able to have the tech guys go and look at things in the back office of these dashboards for both of these exchanges and say, well, let's see this date range and go here and go there so that we could verify that these were actually real trades on the exchanges. And we saw thousands of pages worth of trades. We didn't see every single trade, but I can tell you, you can't fake that stuff. So that confirmed the extra level of confidence that I got when I talked to Dino, since he knows what he's looking at. So that was my experience. We got to ask a lot of questions. We got answers that were congruent with what we would expect with legitimate trading. We didn't see all of the accounts that they have. They have several institutional accounts, but we saw two that kind of proved the concept that, okay, these bots are actually doing what they said they're going to do. They're generating the kinds of levels of profit that are consistent with what we're seeing in our back office dashboards.
So right now, Brad, right now, if I've got a question for you, if someone
Sure.
someone says to you, how do I know it's legitimate? How confident are you in that answer to say that you believe it's legitimate?
I would say I'm very confident. Nothing's 100%. I mean, this is crypto, this is speculative trading. I don't have personal access to those accounts, so I can only base my opinion based on my experience, 20 years of trading experience. Everything looked to be on the up and up. There was no red flags in my opinion. We don't have access to all of the accounts, of course, but just getting a taste of what was possible from those two accounts where I saw a total of $2.5 million that was deposited, and I saw over $17.5 million in profit. So to me, that's
So
significant.
I got another question. With
Sure.
wild success like that on the two accounts you saw, that's to me, that's wild success. I don't know if you agree with
Agreed.
that. That's
Absolutely.
yeah. So what's the chances then that the other accounts are blowing up? And these are the only two, they've just shown you
We
the
ask
only two that
questions
are
about that,
succeeding.
and they do have safeguards in place as far as manual oversight. So if there is a situation that they need to halt trading, they actually halted trading while we were on the Zoom because they can't have people in those accounts looking at them while trading is active and ongoing. So they had to actually pause trading for that short period just in those two accounts because they have everything hooked up through API connections. So the bots don't actually reside on the exchanges. They're separate. They're on separate servers outside of that.
So in my mind, if you've got two wildly successful accounts like that you've seen, it doesn't make logical sense to me that the others are blowing up. That's an argument that ChatGPT
Yeah,
has. You haven't seen all the
sure.
accounts, but
Yeah,
it fails the logic test for me. Like maybe they showed you the
right.
best accounts, but
Yeah,
I
and
can't
remember
see
they're trading
how.
spot crypto, which there's no leverage involved. So it's unlike, I mean, KuCoin and some of these other exchanges, they do offer leveraged trading, but what we saw was spot trading, and they actually showed there was different categories that they were able to click on, and so we knew and can verify that all those trades were done through the spot trading, which there's no
Yeah,
leverage, so less risky, in other words.
yeah.
And there was a lot of
So
trades. I mean, they're doing some sort of scalping. They want to keep their proprietary technology close to the vest, but
mhm.
we saw a lot of trades. Yeah.
Yeah. So in your opinion, could you be so successful on two accounts and then be blowing up two others doing the same thing?
Hypothetically, I mean, anything's possible, but
Yeah,
less likely, let's put it that way. If you see
yeah, yeah.
consistency across the board in two accounts and they're using this, supposedly using the same algorithm, and strategy. There's like 28 different strategies that these AI bots slash algorithms employ. Due diligence can only get you so far. Dino is the instigator here. He's the one that saw proof before I did. So maybe he can share
What,
his story.
what have you got to add, Dino?
Well, not a lot, really, because Brad has pretty much said it all. What I saw is when I went to the office first, is I didn't get hyped. And he said, well, what does that have to do with the trade? Well, nothing particular, but it's got a lot to do with the entire operation. And there's actually all these numbers. If you look at all these numbers and you look at what the robots are making, monthly and what they're paying, if you have a critical eye, you can see there's a lot of breakage for the company. Because I know I asked that question a lot myself. I go, is this sustainable? And Brian himself said to me, Brian, the CEO, which I got to spend personal time with, which inspired more trust in AURUM because of the way he was carrying himself. And I saw him the way he treated his wife. And you pay attention to this stuff. You say, well, again, what does that have to do with trading? Everything, because he's the CEO, right? So the stuff behind the scenes is actually a lot more important than what's out showing, which, by the way, I saw results. I think it was about in June that those accounts were at a certain amount. So then I looked in September the 10th, and those accounts had grown. And then, Brad, you and I looked at it on December 23rd, and they had grown. And we saw some information in between that shows normal progression. Look, I don't care what ChatGPT says.
When I run all that I know about AURUM through ChatGPT, it comes out going, this could be legitimate.
Look, it's what you put in and what you put out. So I'll echo what Brad said. What is the probability? We're all playing with probabilities. Look, I've been in Forex for 21 years, crypto about the same time as you, Brad, 2014. And I've seen more things to go south than we care to discuss on this call, I think. Can I talk about the card for a second, or you want to stick this to the trading?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, go for it.
I mean, the point is, when they have a card with no KYC that I personally can withdraw 1,200 euros a day in Greece for every day, that I can do up to 100,000 a month, the fact that you can earn in this bot and then just go and automatically load the card and earn commissions on people that you refer. But even if you didn't forget the commissions, just the fact that you can spend it, it's just cool. And the exchange and the POS and everything else they're doing. When you add all that stuff together, any person with experience in this field, especially when they've seen things go south, if they're willing to open their eyes again and look without thinking about what's happened in the past, it's very difficult not to get excited. Very difficult.
Agreed.
So there's not a lot to add, Rick, because Brad pretty much said it all.
What do you think about, Brad, the analysis of what he saw, risk management, from your own opinion as a pro trader?
Well, you don't know me well yet, but I'm a little more of a big picture. Let's put it into afterburner type of guy and then ask questions later.
I'm more of trust but verify. That's kind of my approach. Trust but verify.
Yeah, the fact that Brad says the things he said got me even more excited because I know he has skills and qualities that I operate better in different areas.
I'm very picky, Ricky.
Yeah, Brad is difficult, man. So if it passes his test, and I mean this in a very, you got to be difficult in this stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're talking people's money, people's risk, and everything. So that's what I think about Brad's analysis.
You're a bit more conservative, Brad.
I'm also Renegade. My email is Passive Income Renegade. So I have a website, Passive Income Renegade, but I am also I'm very skeptical too, because being online for over 26 years, I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, I've been burned, just like Dino. A lot of us have been rugged, along with a good buddy of mine who's also in AURUM. We ran a alternative investments research membership club for about 12 years. So that was kind of my day-to-day bread and butter business, was researching financial opportunities, investment opportunities, anything that was off the grid, anything that was off Wall Street. That was my domain. And I saw a lot of stuff, and I would say the vast majority of stuff never made it past the first level of scrutiny. I could easily just pick something apart within 1 or 2 minutes if there was too many red flags right up front. And this actually had a lot of green flags, so many that it forced me to pay attention and it forced me to dig deeper, especially after talking to Dino. So, but Dino knows a lot of things he's brought to me in the past. I've said, nope, not going to happen. No way. So when he brought this to me, I saw Brian Benson, and then he told me about the trades that he had seen behind the scenes. And that was enough for me to dig deeper and say, okay, there's something here that I need to really investigate further. And I'm glad I did. And it's been an amazing ride so far. And it's attracted a lot of people, especially non-business builders, like people that are just passive investor types, just want to put their money to work for them. We have quite a few of those in the team, and they're just perfectly happy keeping it to themselves, not sharing with anybody, maybe a friend or two here and there, but they're not really interested in building the business. But for those that do want to build a business, it is an amazing opportunity. The comp plan is just incredible. And I just love the fact that it rewards us very, very well. A lot of us get into this industry. I joined my first network marketing business in 1998 for this whole idea of walk away passive income, walk away residual income. And I did get to experience that with a couple businesses in the past, but not to the extent that it was pitched to me, 25 years ago. This truly is amazing because the product is money. We get paid from other people making money on their money. You can have your own money working for you and getting a percentage of the profits from everybody else, and they're making money, whether they do anything with the business or not. 100% of the people that are active with their bots are making money. And I couldn't say that about any other opportunity out there. So look, I'm
Wow.
excited about this event in Dubai, the official launch event, and just excited to meet Brian, meet some of the other executives, a lot of the other leaders from around the world. And we'll see where it goes from here. Nobody has a crystal ball. Not every business is successful just because it has promise, but
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of potential here, a lot of potential. So
Just one last thing, and then I got a board. Brian did say, and that's a little excessive, but it makes a point. He said we're just as good as our last month's results. What he's saying is anything can happen. I was sitting across a guy in Thailand. I went to a leadership event in Thailand. I was sitting across in the bus. We were going somewhere into an activity for a guy that knew Brian before AURUM. He knew him personally. So when Brian called him, he looked at him and said to the guy, "Hey, dude, this is risky." He said that to his friend. See, this is the stuff that I hear that gets me. I go, this guy's cool. He's realistic. He
yeah,
doesn't overpromise. And again, back to this before I go, adult speak. Anything can happen. That's what I like to echo. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, thanks, Dino. Have a good flight, mate.
thanks, brother.
Thank
See you in
you.
a few days.
Ciao, brother. See you in a couple of
Ciao, ciao.
days. See you, Rick. Bye-bye.
See you, Dino.
So there you have it, Rick.
That's awesome. I think you've answered all my questions, and I think the team will appreciate the cut and edit that you do and what they get to see. And just thank you very much. And thanks to
My
Dino.
pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure. We're here to support you guys in any way we can. And I do withdraw every single day, by the way. Ever since I started, I've been withdrawing every single day. So I have some of my EXAI bot accounts are set to reinvest and others are set to not reinvest. And so the non-reinvestments, I'm pulling out profits daily because it's all about, and Dino kind of touched on this, adult speak. It's about de-risking, de-risking as soon as possible. I don't care what the platform is, how secure or safe it sounds. This is crypto, this is speculative trading, and anything can happen. So just be safe, focus on getting your seed capital back, and never risk more than you can afford to lose. I'll just leave it at that. Past
Yeah,
profits aren't indicative of future profits. So
yeah. Thanks for saying that. It's something that I talk about a lot. That you go into anything with a de-risk plan. So I appreciate you saying that.
absolutely, it's got to be done because we've just had so many other situations, even completely legitimate situations. I've blown up accounts on my own, like Forex accounts. I've blown up dozens of accounts over the years because I wasn't safe. I was just too aggressive or what have you. So it happens. It happens. So no guarantees, but there's way more positives than negatives. And I think that the next year of growth is going to be incredible.
Yeah, me too, mate. I think we're on a winner. It certainly looks more legitimate to me. The profits are
Absolutely.
great. The profits are real, and I believe they can keep it up, but as you say, nobody knows.
Exactly. Anyways, thanks for having me.
Yeah, mate, thank you very much.